And there are two components to that. One is the smartphone in your hand, which I keep on saying is the remote control to your life. And we have to make the smartphone more affordable, more accessible. And sometimes the barriers are not just affordability, they're cultural barriers. In many of our segments of society, it's not just that you can't afford it, but the male child in the family has access to a smartphone, but the female child is deprived of it, right? So, and the barriers get started right over there. So we have to do cultural and societal interventions also as we go into the suburban areas. So that's one aspect, that access to technology, reducing the digital divide, reducing the digital parda, as I would say, is extremely important. And Pakistan has made some progress, although there is still a 30% higher chance of a male having a smartphone than a female. It has come down from a higher number. Central Bank, State Bank of Pakistan also has a program called Banking on Equality, which is to make sure that women also have equal access to financial inclusion as men. Again, there's a gap over there. There's a digital divide, there's a financial divide. There's a divide, as you see and live in this country, in many aspects, from property ownership to employment to getting their heritage. The most important thing over here, and what I find refreshing, is the intent and the tone at the top. We are lagging behind compared to our peers in the region and globally in terms of our digital payments adoption. The challenges, you can categorize in 2 or 3 different things. One could be a technological challenge, one could be a behavior challenge, one could be a cost challenge. The fear of the unknown, the fear of the taxation structure, the fear of the taxman, the fear of the cost. So these are all the barriers. Technological barrier is, do I get internet? Is it reliable or not? But that is not really the barrier, because you will see that even in cities and locations where you have great internet, the penetration of digital economy or cashless is not very high. So it's not a technological barrier. The barrier for lower merchants sometimes is that I don't even have enough margin, so how can I pay MDR, which is the merchant discount rate? Sometimes the barrier is that I don't want to get into the tax net. And that is the larger societal issue, because people are concerned that once they do get into the tax net, can they perhaps report income and pay taxes, which is their moral and legal obligation. But I think there is also this fear that they will perhaps be unfairly treated in case and if and when they do get into the tax net. There are some challenges that the government has to help address, which is that there will be fairness and equitable treatment of merchants who do onboard themselves into this thing. Because ultimately it is our obligation to pay taxes. The taxes should be fair, they should be predictable, they should not be exploitative, and they should be handled in a manner which is graceful and fair. I think that's one of the biggest barriers that we find today. The failure of the system is when there is a need for cash. My competition really is cash. Cash is a habit. People find it easier, they can see it, there's a trust element, but it's more than anything else a habit which has persisted over the years. To change those habits, we have to make sure that the new one is trustworthy, it is convenient, it is reliable. And there is work to be done by the banks that we provide that comfort to the customers. And we have to mitigate all these sprawling cases of fraud, whether it is cyber fraud or socially engineered fraud. So we have to do a better job at awareness so that the naive customers are not exploited. There's a lot of burden and onus on us in terms of making our systems better, taking the bad elements in our supply chain, in our retail, in our organizations, taking them out of the equation, penalizing them as and when appropriate through law enforcement agencies, but at the same time educating the customers and improving our systems using AI or all the other means that we have to make sure that fraudulent transactions go down and they do not put a dampener on something which is just getting started. It should be mandated that no retail shop should refuse a digital option. Actually, they should be enforced to have at least one digital option. You would be surprised and shocked to see that many big outlets in our cities still do not take digital payments, and they very proudly say only cash. or machine not working. And whenever you read that thing, just remember one thing. It is nothing but tax evasion. Because these are big shops, they don't want to be documented. And this is actually something that I hope the tax authorities take more of a notice, because this is happening right in our faces. And companies and outfits which actually refuse digital payments are actually evading taxes. Because as we mentioned earlier, when there is cash, you have no traceability of it. When there is digital, there will always be a digital fingerprint left on the transaction. It will be counted, either by the bank or by the machine. When we talk about digital nation or a smart Pakistan or a digital Pakistan, the foundational layer is broadband and the penetration of broadband services on which all digital opportunities and digital public infrastructure reside. One of the challenges that telecommunication companies have faced is the right-of-way, which is basically laying fiber. There is no cyber without fiber, so you need to fiberize the country. There have been an ad hoc set of rules, prices, fees across the country when it comes to granting that right-of-way. Digital infrastructure needs access before, it's like putting electricity cables. Without electricity, your industry will not work. So if we think tomorrow's industry resides, the commerce is going to be e-commerce and finance is going to be fintech, you need to put that digital layer. We can't put that digital layer if there are barriers like these. The right-of-way has been now made free, which is very progressive. Now it has to be implemented in letter and spirit. We just now need to see the implementation of this thing so that the telcos or the fixed line companies can actually lay the fiber on which this broadband infrastructure resides.